Naggie was an ugly, useless, poor loner who was switched at birth and raised by the wrong family. However, his life took an unexpected turn when he was forced to marry the rich girl his real parents raised. On the day he was set to meet his real parents, his entire fake family was buzzing with excitement. Finally, they could be rid of his ugly ass. However, his fake sister, Sachi, and his only friend in the world weren't thrilled about him leaving. She then approached him and asked if you really plan on joining your biological family. Naggie shrugged it off, saying he had no intention of becoming part of a family he barely knew. To him, she was the only family that mattered. Meanwhile, Sachi suddenly realized that Naggie must have been truly switched at birth because he looked so different from her, with a face worse than human waste. As the truth hit her, tears started flowing. Even though Naggie was a disgusting loner, she would actually miss him. Noticing her cry river, Naggie placed his hands gently on her head, reassuring her that he planned to decline his biological parents' offer to join their family. Later that day, as Naggie walked to school, he couldn't help but think about the whole switched at birth situation. He was about to meet his real parents for the first time. As he strolled along, he spotted the prettiest girl standing on a bridge. Her name was Erica. In a split second, the brain-dead idiot assumed Erica was about to throw herself off the bridge and isekai herself. So, he dashed at her, tackling her to the ground. Her phone shattered on the ground, and his disgusting, cultured hands accidentally landed on her jiggle physics. That moment, the feeling of those beach balls sent his pure imagination running wild, making him wish she'd accept his ugly, worthless self. But the only thing that accepted him was a face restructuring slap across his disgusting face. Few minutes later, Erica explained that she wasn't trying to EAI herself. It was all a skit for her 10 million IG followers and a way to make her mom think she was on the edge. She was protesting an arranged marriage to some lunatic her family had picked for her. After saying this, Erica had a 500-level IQ idea. She decided Naggie could pretend to be her boyfriend. So, her parents would stop thinking she was a miserable loner who would die sad and bitter. Upon hearing this, Naggie freaked out, telling her he chose to remain a typical anime protagonist, still holding on to his V card. So, Erica told Naggie that his face was way too disgusting for him to be her actual boyfriend. This was strictly pretend. Hearing Erica roast him harder than barbecue, Naggie declined the offer and got up to leave. But Erica, whose phone accidentally recorded the video of him groping her, laser blasted him with blackmail. With no other option, Naggie reluctantly agreed to be her fake boyfriend. Not long after, Naggie tried to snatch Erica's phone to delete the video but ended up taking a selfie with her instead. He then suggested she show that picture to her parents as it would convince them she already had a boyfriend. Erica thought his words made sense and then tried taking more pictures, but quickly realized Naggie wasn't photogenic at all. He looked like Shrek trying to lose weight. So, she dragged him out shopping to revamp his wardrobe so he could look demure and stop dressing like an anemic grandpa. Minutes later, they arrived at the store. Naggie then tried on a few trendy outfits and finally found one that made him look like Jay-Z from an alternate universe. After buying matching couple outfits, Erica snapped a picture of them but was disappointed again. He still looked like a total imbecile. Frustrated, she told Naggie that if her parents saw her with a strong, alpha male, they'd leave her alone and stop meddling in her life. She admitted that all their photos looked forced, so she decided to go with the awkward one from earlier. Soon after, a group of 3 maniacs, members of Erica's fan club, showed up, threatening to beat the crap out of Naggie for messing with their queen. The leader of the bunch charged at Naggie, but before he knew what hit him, Naggie knocked him out cold with a punch that disfigured his face. Seeing this savage move, the other 2 cowards fled. Erica, impressed by his strength, decided she'd use Naggie's one-punch man moment to scare off the fiancé her parents had lined up for her. Later that evening, as Erica left, Naggie suddenly remembered he was supposed to meet his biological parents. So, he rushed to the meeting spot. When he arrived, he found both his real and fake parents waiting over dinner. His biological parents dropped a bombshell. To bring the families closer, they decided that Naggie would marry their daughter. Hearing this, Naggie was totally shocked and speechless. At that moment, their daughter walked in. It was Erica, the girl he had been switched with at birth, thanks to some useless nurses. The next day at school, Naggie was trudging to class when he bumped into Hiro, the smartest girl in school and his lifelong crush. Realizing that if he didn't confess his feelings now, it might be too late, he mustered up every ounce of confidence and shouted at the top of his lungs that he would be the smartest guy in school since he'd heard Hiro only liked brainy guys, even if they looked like chimps. The next day, Naggie's surrogate parents informed him that Erika would be spending the entire day at their place, which completely stunned him. He immediately protested, reminding them that he never agreed to this forced engagement because of his feelings for Hiro. But they shut him down, saying Erika was coming over, no questions asked. This sent Naggie into a brief psychotic spiral, thinking that Erika was hell-bent on marrying him no matter what. So, the rest of the day was spent cleaning up his stinky-ass anime convention crib, nervously awaiting her arrival. Hours passed, and Naggie began wondering if Erika had changed her mind and decided not to come after all. He moved to the front door, thinking maybe the dumb chick had gotten lost on her way to his rundown shack. But when he opened the door, he was shocked to find a squat figure, Erika herself, crouched right outside. Startled, he asked, "Why didn't you just use the doorbell?" Erika, with a straight face, replied that she didn't know people still used doorbells in this Gen Z era. Shortly afterward, they sat on the floor drinking grape juice, and Nikki thought this was the perfect moment to tell her he wasn't interested in marrying her crazy ass. But before he could get a word out, Erika demanded a tour of his place. Naggie obliged, showing her the crib, but quickly noticed she was acting weird, like she was examining some ancient caveman relics. He began to worry that Erika might be disappointed with his humble surroundings. Suddenly, Erika asked him to come over to her place. When they arrived, Naggie's jaw hit the floor. The mansion she lived in was nothing short of breathtaking. She showed him around, and as Naggie got a glimpse of all the high-tech gadgets in the smart home setup, his brain short-circuited. Then she showed him her dog's house, a dog mansion. Naggie's mind was blown. Even her dog was living the life while he was still a broke-ass Andrew Tate wannabe. Later, as they sat down for a tea break, Erika dropped the bomb. She had no intention of marrying him. Nat's heart immediately sank. She explained that she'd noticed how he'd been walking around her like some Call of Duty player and figured the dude might pop the big question at any moment. So, she thought it best to crush his delusional hopes before they even started. She added that while their parents might be trying to play matchmaker, there was no way she'd ever let someone else decide who she'd marry. Stunned, Nai asked why she even bothered coming over if she didn't want his ultimate rejection. Erika shrugged and explained that it wasn't about him, it was his parents. She needed to talk to them. She had some things to get off her chest. Nai, a bit confused, told her his parents were working at their restaurant and suggested they head there if she wanted to speak to them. Later they arrived at the restaurant with Naggie feeling increasingly tense, unsure of what Erika was planning to say. In his mind, he pictured her going full-on apeshit on his parents. But to his surprise, everything seemed to be going smoothly. That was until his moronic parents started talking non-stop about how similar Erika was to them, which made her visibly uncomfortable. Finally, unable to take it anymore, Erika stood up and bolted out of the restaurant. Naggie immediately chased after her and managed to catch up. Through her tears, Erika confessed that despite planning to speak her mind, she just couldn't bring herself to do it because of how welcoming his parents were. Naggie comforted her and convinced her to come back to the restaurant. When they returned, her biological parents were overjoyed and smothered her with hugs. The rest of the evening was spent with them stuffing her with food like some starved child. Afterward, Naggie escorted her home. On the way, they ran into Erika's adopted father who offered them a lift. He then drove them to an unfamiliar mansion and informed them that they'd have to live there together as a couple for 2 weeks. Both Nai and Erika were left completely stunned. Upon entering the mansion, Nai was completely mesmerized by the luxury. But then reality hit. He was about to spend 2 weeks alone with a girl, something he'd never done before. Panicking, he tried to call this fake mom, but right then he got a message from her saying she knew the situation and fully supported it. With no way out, Naggie sank into a momentary depression. But then a realization struck him. This was the perfect opportunity to study for the upcoming exams without any distractions. That thought made him gasp as he finally had a shot at grabbing the top spot and winning Hiro's heart. The next morning, Naggie heard Erika scream from the bathroom. In full panic mode, he rushed to check on her. Like a complete idiot, he barged in, accidentally getting a full 1080p view of Erika's plot. As expected, she flipped out, cussing him out and calling him a worthless peeping Tom. Naggie went to grab breakfast, but just then his phone battery died. He realized he hadn't brought his charger since he needed his phone to study for the exams. Panic set in again. Fortunately, a delivery man had dropped off some textbooks and a phone charger for Erika. Desperate, Naggie threw himself at her feet, begging to borrow her books for studying. Erika, being the scheming she was, took full advantage of his desperation and made him agree to be her cameraman for the day, snapping IG pics non-stop. In exchange for study time that night, after hours of grueling photo shoots, Erika asked Naggie why he was so obsessed with studying like a mad scientist. Now, he explained that it was because of his family's broke status and he wanted to give them a better life. He then turned the question on her, asking why she was so addicted to social media like a crazy TikTok maniac. Erika revealed that she needed to become famous to connect with someone important, though she kept the details secret. The Next day, as Naggie walked to school, he overheard students gossiping about his failure to beat Hiro for the top spot in class, even though he was the disgusting loner who studied non-stop. After class, Naggie suddenly found a letter in his locker. To his shock, it was from Hiro, asking to meet him on the rooftop. His brain practically exploded. Convinced there was no way someone like Hiro would send him a love letter, he dismissed it as a prank. But just then, his useless teacher announced that Naggie had actually come first in the recent test, which snapped his brain back into gear. And he thought, maybe Hiro really did send that letter. That moment, she bolted to the rooftop. Sure enough, Naggie was there waiting. Nai, thinking his wildest dreams were about to come true, expected her to confess or maybe even suggest the kickoff plot development right there on the roof. But his heart shattered when Hiro, looking stone cold, assured him that he would never hold the top spot for long. She would always beat him. Then she left, leaving Naggie utterly confused and wondering why Hiro had just snapped at him. The next day, Nai came down with a nasty fever. His head was spinning so badly he couldn't focus on studying, no matter how hard he tried. Seeing this, Erika tried playing the role of a hot nurse, acting all flirty and offering to take care of him. But Naggie proved to be a top G and wasn't having it. He shoved her out of his room, telling her he wasn't interested in whatever religion she was pushing. Finally, the day of the exam arrived. When the results were posted on the notice board, the entire school was in shock. Naggie had actually taken first place. Later that day, he received another letter from Hiro, asking him to meet her on the rooftop. Like the ultimate sim, he dashed to the rooftop at lightning speed. When he got there, Hiro congratulated him and asked why he was so obsessed with being in the first position. Nai confessed that it was all because he wanted to tell her how he felt. He explained that since he heard she liked guys smarter than her, he worked his ass off to beat her and take the top spot. He then begged her to go out with him. Hearing this, Hiro admitted that while she did have a thing for brains like a zombie in the apocalypse, his face was just too damn disgusting. She also pointed out that even though he managed to beat her once, she'd beaten him in every other subject. In 9 out of the 10 tests before this, Naggie, the king of sass, declared that he'd keep trying until he beat her 10 times so she'd have no choice but to accept him. The two competitive idiots started yelling at each other about who was the best, even racing each other back to the classroom like a couple of useless dumbass teenagers. By the time they reached the classroom, both exhausted from their pointless race, Hiro finally dropped the bomb. She couldn't date Naggie because she was already engaged. Upon hearing this, Naggie's heart shattered into a million pieces. In the following days, Naggie spiraled into a pit of despair. He couldn't sleep, tossing and turning in bed like a rolling ball of misery. Just when he thought things couldn't get worse, Erika barged into his room, reminding him that it was their last day living together in the mansion. While Nai packed his stuff, he and Erika talked about how their parents' Einstein-level plan to get them to develop feelings for each other during those 2 weeks had been a complete and utter failure. Afterward, Naggie took the bus back home, only to find the house completely empty. He called his fake mom, who casually informed him that they had moved and totally forgot he was coming back that day. With nowhere else to go, Naggie had no choice but to return to the mansion. He was shocked to find Erika still lounging around. She told him she had stayed because she loved the freedom of living on her own without her parents hovering over her every move. The next day, Nai informed Erika that his sister, Sachi, would be coming over to drop off some supplies. Erika immediately tensed up at the thought of meeting her real sister for the first time. Naggie, the chief comforter, told her to chill out because Sachi was friendly and easygoing. Soon after, Sachi arrived, and Naggie introduced the two sisters, only to realize that things were super awkward as both girls just stood there staring at each other in an attempt to break the tension. Naggie invited Sachi to check out his room. Once inside, Sachi admitted that she was nervous because meeting Erika was a big deal for her. She'd been following Erika online ever since she found out they were sisters. She went on to say that even though they were related, their lives were completely different. They came from totally different worlds. Wanting to create some sort of bond between the two weirdos, Naggie suggested they all cook together. It didn't take long for him to realize he'd made a colossal mistake. Both girls were absolute disasters in the kitchen. Erika had no idea how to cook, and Sachi didn't know how to use modern kitchen appliances. After what felt like hours of chaos and lunacy, they somehow managed to pull together a halfway decent meal. As they ate, Naggie noticed that despite thinking they were so different, both sisters were awkward and weird in the exact same way. By the end of the day, they decided to get along, and Erika even gave Sachi one of her dresses to wear home. They sealed the newfound sisterly bond by taking a selfie together. The next morning, Erika woke up to find Nai sprawled out on the couch, his face looking like a ghost had taken a piss on it. She couldn't help but wonder what kind of disaster had caused him to look that disgusting and why he wasn't dressed for school. Not he was still deep in his post-rejection depression after being rejected by Hiro. Because of his $5 budget face, he informed her that he was too weak and pathetic to go to school. Surprisingly, Erika, who had never seemed to care about anything involving school books or studying, urged him to get his lazy, stinking bum off the couch and head to class. Her sudden enthusiasm about school threw Naggie off, but reluctantly, he dragged himself out the door and made his way to the library for his usual pre-class study session. To his surprise, Hiro was there, and she chose to study alongside him. As they sat there in awkward silence, Naggie's moronic brain thought of the dumbest pickup line he'd seen in a staged TikTok video. Without thinking, he blurted out, "I love to dive deep into your ocean." At that moment, instant regret hit him like a truck, realizing how badly he messed up. Naggie stood up to excuse himself, but fate had other plans. In his panic, he tripped and went face first into the ground, making his already embarrassing day worse. Later that day in class, their useless teacher, with a nose bigger than his teaching abilities, announced that a new student would be joining. Just then, Erika walked in as the transfer student. At the sight of her familiar thighs, Naggie nearly had a heart attack while the rest of the class lost their collective minds over the fact that a famous Instagram influencer had joined their ranks. During break, Naggie cornered Erika, demanding to know why the heck she was at his school. She told him that she'd been expelled from her school after accidentally sending a picture of the two of them to her school's WhatsApp group. Apparently, one of the girls snitched, and since her old school was an all-girls academy with a strict, no non-platonic relationship rule, she was kicked out. Feeling somewhat responsible, Naggie called out her ex-classmates for being a bunch of snitches. But Erika admitted they weren't really her friends and she didn't have any to begin with. She also warned him that in school, they were to act like strangers. No one was to know they were engaged. For the rest of the day, the entire school was buzzing with rumors about the new celebrity student, Erika. She was constantly swarmed by the school's losers, all trying to get her attention. One particularly ugly dad even tried his best pickup line on her, but his effort was as useless as Naggie's paper bag face. Nai, feeling sorry for her, decided to step in and save her from the cringe. But before he could make a move, Hiro had already swooped in and started talking to Erika like they were long-lost besties. Seeing his crush and Fiona hitting it off like that fried Naggie's brain cells, leaving him in a mild panic. So for the rest of the day, he trailed behind them like a stalker, keeping a watchful eye on the situation, desperate to stop any potential friendship from blossoming between the two. Even during PE volleyball, the absolute menace tried to get a word in with Erika, only to get knocked unconscious by a volleyball to the face, complete with a bleeding nose. By the end of the school day, Naggie was still keeping tabs on the girls. He was about to intervene when he suddenly had an epiphany, that this could be Erika's one chance to have a real friend. With that in mind, he decided to quit his sabotage mission. However, as he peered at them from around the corner, he saw Hiro on her knees crying. Panic set in as he assumed Erika had spilled the beans about their engagement. Naggie then rushed to explain, only to discover he had it all wrong. Hiro wasn't upset, she was fan-struck. Erika was her celebrity crush, and she'd been trying to play it cool all day but couldn't hold it together anymore. Relieved, Nai joined them, and the trio walked home together. During the walk, Erika complained that she was worried about keeping up with her studies since her old school was way behind. Hiro, ever the academic queen, suggested that since she and Naggie were the only brains in the useless school, they could help Erika catch up by having early morning study sessions. Nai, stuck between his crush and his fiancé, couldn't help but feel his life was about to get even more complicated. Later that night, Naggie finally opened up to Erika, confessing that he had a huge crush on Hiro and had even expressed his feelings to her. However, Hiro had rejected him because despite his best efforts, she was only attracted to guys smarter than her. Naggie had only managed to beat her once in their academic battles, while Hiro had wiped the floor with his ass 10 times. Hearing his sob story, Erika decided to step in and promised to help him win over his crush. She then gave him a pep talk about love in war, telling him that rejection meant nothing and he should keep pushing forward like a bulldozer. But Naggie could feel something else pushing harder than a bulldozer down there. The next morning, Erika put her plan into action during their early study session with Hiro. To set the mood, she showed up in a Cupid of Love costume, determined to play matchmaker. Trying to hype Naggie up, she told Hiro that despite his miserable, disgusting face and overall loser vibes, he actually had some hidden talents. Erika went on to say that Naggie was book smart, but Hiro cut her off, insisting that she was still smarter. When Erika tried to throw in that Naggie could cook like a Michelin-starred chef, Hiro smugly claimed she could cook better. Seeing how competitive Hiro and Naggie were, Erika pulled Naggie aside and bluntly told him that pursuing Hiro might be a waste of time. They just weren't made for each other. But Naggie wasn't ready to give up. As they continued studying, Hiro couldn't help but notice the strange chemistry between Naggie and Erika. It made her feel a pang of jealousy. Her celebrity crush, Erika, was getting along with the creepy guy she beat in academics, not her. To get closer to Erika, Hiro suggested visiting her home, which left both Nai and Erika stunned. After school, Nai rushed home, hoping to salvage the situation by suggesting they take Hiro to his parents' place instead. However, he quickly realized he was home alone and thought he could finally enjoy some butt-naked alone time. Unfortunately, his little solo party was cut short when Erika and Hiro walked into the house. Now he barely had time to hide and quickly texted Erika, demanding to know why she had brought the nutcase to their home. Erika explained that her parents' place was under renovation, so there was no other option. Few moments later, Erika gave Hiro a tour of the house while Naggie scrambled to erase every trace of his existence, packing up his belongings in a panic. Shortly afterward, the girls were out by the pool when Naggie tripped inside the house, making a loud noise that startled them. Hiro, suspicious, demanded to know what caused the noise. That instant, Erika thought deeply and came up with a brain-dead idea of shoving Hiro into the pool and claimed the sound was caused by a cat somehow. The dense girl believed it. Later, Naggie heard the girls screaming outside. Naturally, like the classic idiot in every horror movie, he went to investigate. Outside, he encountered the pathetic lilies who made up Erika's fanboy club. They decided to gang up on Naggie again and beat him to a pulp. But their leader barely got close before Naggie decked him with a single punch to the gut, leaving the others in shock. Naggie, now confident, ordered them to get lost, and they quickly scattered. A few hours later, after Hiro finished her tour of Erika's home, she was getting ready to leave when she suddenly noticed Naggie's notebook sitting on the table. Suspicious, Hiro asked Erika why his notebook was there. Thinking fast, Erika lied, claiming she had borrowed it from Naggie at school to study. Hiro surprisingly bought the story. Before leaving, Hiro invited Erika over to her place for the next study session. A few days later, Naggie and Erika arrived at Hiro's home, only to be completely blown away that Hiro lived in a massive shrine. As they studied inside the shrine, Hiro's mom brought them some food but quickly became suspicious of Naggie. She seemed to sense that Naggie had his eyes on her daughter, so she kept a close watch on him, spying on their every move. Things took a turn for the weird when Erika, having eaten like a pig, excused herself to the bathroom to take a while. She was gone. Hiro opened up to Naggie in a rare moment of vulnerability. She revealed the real reason behind her earlier engagement story. It wasn't to a person. Hiro was engaged to the shrine itself, as it was her family's inheritance and taking care of it was her responsibility. It was a big deal, leaving her with almost no time for a normal life or a romantic relationship, much less time to do couple stuff. As they continued talking, Hiro told Naggie that her being engaged meant she would be inheriting the local shrine run by her parents. He asked her if she told Erika about this since they seemed to be close, but Hiro replied that she didn't and told him instead because it looked like he can carry the burden later. At home, Naggie was still surprised that she told him that and he planned to learn more about her so he could take on the burden. Meanwhile, Erika appeared and showed him the handout of a field trip that was announced in class earlier. Shocking Naggie, who never knew anything was even announced even though he was in the same class. She told him she would be going for security reasons since she was the daughter of a business tycoon and she was famous. Hearing this, Naggie also told her he was not going to and would rather study his books. But he was shocked when he realized that he was the leader of the group now. He had to look for 2 or 3 other persons to join his group. The next day he thought of asking Hiro to join his group but he was skeptical about this, because she was popular and might have been in a group already. However, he summoned the boldness to ask her when she arrived, and she agreed immediately, shocking him as he had never expected her to answer that quickly. Later, the idiot fantasized about going to the beach with her. While they went home together that evening in the rain, Naggie stopped to ask if the deal about her, considering his confession was still on, which was that he had to beat her 10 more times in exams. She reminded him that she had told him she was engaged, but she was sad because her parents had decided it for her. She then suddenly asked Nai if he could change that fate for her, shocking him. Upon getting home, Bro increased his tenacity in studying so he could back her because he was the type of guy who would do anything to clap a girl. Meanwhile, Erika came to show him the picture of one ugly named Aoma who had found a way to force himself into his group. Because of her, Erika decided to go for the field trip, pretending it was so that she could handle the idiot who called himself a fan. The next day of the field trip, they all met at the train station, and upon seeing Naggie, Naggie just knew he would be such a pain in the ass as he began to behave like a psycho. He called Naggie to a separate place to tell him how he had been glazing over Erika before then and he was glad he was finally able to meet her. He then asked Naggie if he should shoot his shot immediately, making Naggie embarrassed, but he told him to suit himself. Following this, as they began the trip, Naggie acted clingy and overly excited around Erika, which kind of made her excited. Meanwhile, Naggie watched them, feeling jealous that he was not able to do the same with Hiro because he was a shy, introverted, boring ass who couldn't talk with women. He got so engrossed in watching them that he didn't even speak with Hiro, who was standing with him. Later, while in an eerie silence, Hiro noticed him still staring and called it out, but Naggie replied that he was only keeping an eye on them as the leader, so they went off on their own afterward. As they came to the end of their trip, Naggie left to get some ice cream, leaving Naggie and Erika alone. And this was when Naggie realized the hero was not with him. Erika told him it was because he had been doing the work of a babysitter instead of the leader, further saying that he had ruined her plan anyway. She told him to take her picture with the sand art she had made, and they ended up mistakenly taking a selfie of themselves, which Erika found amusing. Naggie asked her about the person she had said she wanted to reach and if that was what she had come today to do, making Erika blush immediately before telling him that his fate might change if she told him. Some days later, Naggie was still surprised Erika told him that and he wondered if he should ask her about it or not. Meanwhile, he worried about this. The doorbell rang, and when checking who it was, he was shocked to see Sachi. Sachi began to walk around looking for Erika while Naggie acted like he was on his period and he told Sachi to go back home. Sachi wondered what was wrong with him, asking if he fought with Erika, but he refused to tell her what was up, so she suddenly pounced on him and threatened to break his fingers. He later told her what was bothering him, but Sachi didn't come up with any good advice on what he should do, making him regret telling a numbskull like her in the first place. He then asked about the situation at home, and she replied that it was all messy since their family was so broke that even the poor called them poor. He also asked if she had been studying, making her suddenly embarrassed because the only thing she was studying right now was her engagement stats on IG. Following that discussion, Naggie suddenly summoned the courage and decided to ask Erika about what she had told him that day when she was back. He began to prepare some food for them, but Sachi secretly left for her home to pack her load and told her mom she was moving in with Naggie and Erika. Now, he received a call from his mom, who told him that Sachi had left home. After the call, he immediately went over to tell her that she would be allowed to stay the night, because it was late, but she had to leave the next morning as the apartment was only reserved for himself and Erika, not their extended family. However, Erika interrupted by saying she called the shots here, not him. After that, he asked Sachi why she came here, and she said some about needing help with schoolwork that Naggie didn't buy, so they got into some banter exchange. However, Erika offered to help her with studying, and they went to her room while Naggie continued cooking. But he wondered if Sachi came so she could make up for the 15 years she never got to spend with Erika. In Erika's room, she suddenly asked Sachi why she was there, and she revealed that she only wanted to spend more time with her sister, surprising Erika. Meanwhile, Naggie was listening to them, and upon this realization, thinking about his relationship with his sister, he immediately called their mom, telling her that Sachi would be staying for a while because he wanted to help her study. The next day, while they ate, Naggie wondered when to ask Erika his questions. Meanwhile, Erika suddenly suggested that they go shopping to get some things they needed at home, since it was their day off, but Naggie objected to it, saying the day should be used for studying. However, they told him he would continue sleeping on the sofa then, making him agree reluctantly. They soon headed out, and as they walked across the street, different losers admired them. Erika asked Sachi when Nen began to hit on her, and she replied that since she was very much younger. Naggie suddenly realized that this was why his ugly friends were always trying to tease her. Later, when they got back home, Naggie finally got his chance and knelt before Erika to tell her that he wouldn't want to be nosy but he would be ready to listen whenever she wanted to tell him what was in her mind. However, Erika burst into laughter, wondering what sort of bozo this was. Some days later, Sachi came from the bathroom to tell Naggie she was done so he could also use the bathroom, but found him sleeping on his desk. However, as she tried to wake him, she saw a text from Hiro asking if he was in for a date, and became shocked. Following this, Bro sat in the living room beaming with a smile, undressed in his best clothes, which shocked Erika because this was the first time he looked mobbed since she had known him. However, Naggie was disappointed that she didn't even ask him why he was dressed like this. Later, as he waited for Hiro, he suddenly became disappointed thinking she might think they were there to collect stamps again. Moreover, Hiro soon arrived looking all yummy with her fully rounded melons, and Naggie couldn't look her in the eyes because he might jizz his pants. She took him to an amusement park, and he was shocked that it might actually be a real date. He asked her if she came here often with people, and she replied that she always came alone, prompting Naggie to ask her why she invited him then. She replied that so she could get a discount and also because he seemed like someone whose meat she would want. Following this, they partook in a roller coaster ride that almost scared Naggie to death, for which Hiro apologized and suggested they head over to play another game. As they entered through separate doors, Naggie became shocked that there was such a place like this, and as he walked in through the illusion, he came across several reflective mirrors. He soon saw Hiro and was almost swept off his feet, ending up kissing one of her mirror reflections. But the idiot thought it was her and started to apologize. But she told him it was the fake and she laughed at him, saying he deserves some accolades for being stupid. At the same time, Sachi was at home typing hateful messages to Naggie, and when Erika asked about it, she informed her that Naggie was on a date with another woman. Sachi was surprised that Erika wasn't offended by it, even though they were engaged together, and she replied that she wasn't planning to marry him anyway. Sachi continued to throw tantrums that some girl was going to take her brother from her, and then she took Erika to a battle center to vent her anger on an innocent ball. Meanwhile, Naggie and Hiro were going more rounds on the roller coaster, and even though Bro was now looking like his soul was leaving his body, he kept on taking the rides, because he wanted to prove that he was a Sigma. After the date, Naggie discovered that his sister was already throwing curses at him, and on getting back home, he was served poorly cooked meat and verbally abused all night. They suddenly heard the doorbell ring by 3 o'clock in the morning, and Naggie went to the door with a mopstick to check who it was. They soon discovered it was their father, who couldn't wait till dawn to invite them to fishing. They got aboard, and while they sailed across the sea with their fishing equipment, Naggie began to vomit and almost emptied all his bowels because he was seasick. He had always hated fishing so much when he was a boy, but his father kept taking him to the sea and told him he would only stop bringing him when he finally caught a fish bigger than his noddy. Suddenly, he channeled his inner Tom Cruise and prepared to have the biggest catch. But the weak ass ended up catching a fingerling, which his father then released back into the sea. Afterward, he realized his father invited him to the sea, so he could forget about his miserable life for a moment. 2 weeks later, Erika prepared to head out, and when Sachi asked where she was going, she replied that she was going to see her mom since it was Mother's Day. After she left, Sachi thought of getting something for her mom and she told Naggie about it. He wondered why she was doing this though, since she had never done so before, and she replied that she was doing it because she stressed her leaving home. They headed to the store and made different suggestions on what to get their mom, but on second thought, they realized that their mom was hard to impress. They soon ran out of ideas, and as they gave it much thought over ice cream, they suddenly remembered their mom once hanging their paintings on the wall at home. This caused them to remember that she loved aprons, which were related to her work. Naggie patted Sai's head, calling her his cute little kid sister for figuring something out. She didn't like being sister's own, because she wished to go the Alabama way with him. They secretly delivered the apron to their house, and upon receiving the gift, their mom initially thought that they had wasted money again, just as they predicted. But she became excited when she realized it was an apron. Meanwhile, Erika had dinner with her mom, and as her mom returned home, she informed her dad about what Erika did to celebrate her, which he found quite amusing. He immediately felt like seeing her and he left her a message telling her that he was coming to visit. Upon seeing this, she immediately rushed to meet Naggie and dragged him away, but she didn't tell him where they were going. Later, while they crossed the road after wasting a lot of time at some bookstore, Naggie asked her what they were doing, and she opened up that she didn't want to be home because her dad was coming and she didn't want to see him. Meanwhile, Sachi returned home, only to find a strange man in their living room. She immediately began to scream, "Rugular!" But as soon as she realized it was Erika's father, she apologized to him and served him green tea. She then told him that Erika and Naggie should soon be back, but after waiting for a while, Erika's father realized what was going on, the fact that his daughter didn't want to see him, and he told Sachi he would like to have a bit of her time. He took her to a restaurant to ask her questions about Erika and the useless boy with her, and as Sachi said good things about them and how they were compatible, she became jealous. At the same time, Erika and Naggie talked about why Erika didn't want to see her dad. She said that her father was known to always do things without asking her first, and she thought he might be planning to come to take her back home. However, she decided she was going to confront him and maybe it was time to do so. But Naggie told her they should spend some more time outside to play as much as they wanted. Erika's father soon dropped Sachi back at the house and even gave her a gift while telling her to keep their meeting a secret. He then headed to his office. Late that night, and even though it was supposed to be his day off, he grabbed a photo of himself and his wife with Erika and Naggie's younger selves. The next day, Sachi went to visit her parents. And after a while of being away, Naggie worried about her since it was now raining and she had yet to return. Erika came to ask him where the detergent was, but it suddenly thundered, causing a total blackout. Immediately, Erika became scared that they were about to experience an alien invasion since she had never experienced a power outage before. But Naggie, who grew up in a broke family where power outages were a norm, likely meant to be normal, told her she just called him broke without saying broke. They headed to his room so he could grab his phone before Erika's phone died. However, the idiot soon realized that he never charged it. Erika's phone died shortly after, and they resorted to using candles. He asked her if she didn't have a power bank, and she replied that she was so rich that she bought new ones after draining each one. She got a few moments later. She told him how life had gotten more lively since they started living together, and Naggie said the same. Meanwhile, Erika remembered that they had an emergency kit in the cloakroom by the entrance, so she told him to go get it, but she didn't give him the candle because she was scared to stay in the dark. Naggie headed upstairs in the dark, and while he looked for the door with his hands stretched out, he suddenly hit someone and became shocked as he fell on her, kissing her in the process. He immediately apologized and soon realized that it was Sachi. When the light came back on, meanwhile, Sachi looked at him in shock, and Naggie told her to forget about what had just happened before leaving. But Sachi only became more embarrassed by the thought of her brother kissing him. The next day, Sachi's attitude changed, and when she heard her classmates discussing the movie they watched where a sister was crushing on her brother, she became embarrassed and pissed with Naggie immediately, who wouldn't stop seeing her as his kid sister. Later that night, he prepared Sachi's favorite meal and invited her to come and eat, but she didn't answer him, and he wondered what was wrong. While he talked with Erika about it, she asked him if he had done anything to her, and he casually revealed what had happened the previous night. Erika told him he was screwed for thinking that wasn't a big deal. She told him that Sachi was no more a child and should be treated like a proper woman, but Naggie insisted that she was still a child to him. However, Erika brought up a scenario, asking him if he could bathe with Sachi, and he immediately said that was impossible, to which Erika then replied that it was a similar case to what happened the previous day, instantly making him realize that Erika was right. After thinking it through, he decided he was going to apologize to Sachi, but he didn't know how to tell her. So the next day in school, he told Hiro about his problem with being a sociopath. Hiro gave him proper advice, and later that night, on getting back home, he apologized to Sachi from outside her room since she wouldn't open her door, and told her he would start treating her like a proper woman immediately, changing her mood. After that, she returned to her normal self and became excited again. The following day, Erika noticed that Naggie and Sachi were now back on talking terms, and she told him that he had to go shopping with her as an apology, but he replied that he wouldn't be doing that because something important might come up, shocking her. On getting to school, Naggie asked Hiro to have a study session with him after school since the midterms were coming up, and she agreed immediately, making Naggie excited as this was his chance to regain his lost aura from roller coaster rides. Later at the library, Naggie became disappointed in himself for not considering that it wouldn't be possible to talk in the library. While he moped over how slow his brain was, Hiro passed a letter to him, and this was how they communicated throughout the study period, passing secret notes back and forth. As they later went home, Naggie felt bad that he was only able to study for an hour, and he wondered if they should find somewhere else to continue studying. However, she suddenly asked if he had some spare time, and she took him for her kickboxing exercise where she showed him how well she could use her legs to hit. Naggie wanted to show her how good his third eye was instead. Meanwhile, as they trained, Erika, who happened to be passing by, suddenly saw Naggie and Hiro having fun, and she became jealous. The next day, Erika suddenly asked Naggie on a date, shocking him. During the date, after shopping for clothes, he asked her why the sudden date, but she didn't answer him. On the same date, they had a running contest, which made Naggie, the weakling, tired, and he complained that this was rather more like a training than a date, but she told him she thought he liked sports. Bro immediately asked in annoyance if he looked like someone liked something else other than studying, and she revealed that it seemed so since she saw him on a kickboxing date with Hiro. He was shocked and wondered what was wrong with that since Erika clearly knew he had a crush on her, but Erika replied that she hated it because he never smiled at her, confusing Naggie. He told her he thought she used to root for him and Hiro, and Erika replied that hearing about Hiro and seeing them together were two different things. She then emphasized that she was supposed to be his fan, shocking Naggie even more and prompting him to ask her if she liked him. She went all red instantly but told him she didn't like him yet, shocking Naggie as he heard. Yet, she left immediately, leaving him alone, and he began to think what she meant by that. He soon noticed that his heart too was racing and wondered if he liked Erika. He immediately discarded this thought, convincing himself that it was Hiro he liked. However, he soon became confused and the simp wondered what it meant to love someone. He immediately checked Google, but he wasn't satisfied with what he saw, so he rushed to his broke parents' home that night to look for an encyclopedia on love. However, he surprisingly found a box containing the love letters his dad sent to his mom when they were in high school. His dad suddenly appeared as he read them and told him that they were the letters he sent to his mom. When he was trying to rise her out, Naggie wondered if he could do the same for Hiro, and his dad immediately noticed that he was having doubts about his love, so he advised him to close his eyes and ask his heart to listen to the precious one calling his name. However, N was a perverted loser as he surprisingly saw the three girls. Erica received a text from him later the same night, saying that he didn't like her either. Yet should this cultured bozo choose one of them or bag the whole three instead? Comment, harm, if you want part 2 also. Clap the like button if you love this recap, and subscribe to this channel for more legendary plot adventures.